Well, hello there and good morning. Welcome to this wonderful show. It is Thursday, 14th of July, 2022, Throwback Thursday. Philomena Mastiko is my name and I am with the two gentlemen, of course, Felix Nkunda and Robert Kirabo, Nyonyintono. And yes, we are here like every single time to make sure that we give you that which you seek, and that is, of course, information. And we will be with you all the way, at least for the best part of the morning. So do not miss anything, right from all the updates from the news and, of course, cutting across to our amazing GMU agenda. We also do have the newsreel as well, so you don't want to miss all of that. But aside from all that you need to look out for, there is still also a lot happening. Again, before we get into all that, today being a Throwback Thursday, Felix and Robert, there is one thing I want to tell you, one thing that I'm missing and I'm throwing back. The time in Uganda when you had a 50,000 Ugandan shilling note, you would go to the market and come back with probably 3 buveras with a lot of things in there. But right now, you could go with a 50,000 note to the market and probably come back with 1 black kavera. Now, clearly, it's telling you the value is depreciating the value for our money, or things are really getting higher and higher. I don't know if you share the same sentiments with me on this, but we are yet to find out. However, I also need to know how you spent your night and how your morning is going on so far. Good morning, Robert.
Lovely morning to you, Philo. I must say I love your black.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I didn't know among colors that look good on you is black.
Thank you.
Otherwise, good morning, and good morning, our lovely viewers. Good morning, Felix. And of course, good morning to myself. Well, it is a Throwback Thursday, like you've just said. And for me, I miss those days when there wasn't traffic on our roads.
Oh. Oh.
That is what I miss, where you could just, you know, few cars,
yes,
less traffic, and you'd get to your destination. Today, sometimes even when you think you've planned, you find jam where you don't expect it to be. And you're like, but I thought during this time.
Especially in these times.
So it keeps you confused. You're like, no, I think this road, you calculate, you plan. And you have to go through a shortcut sometimes, which may even be longer. You're like, what happened? That Uganda. I remember those days my dad would drive me from Seguku and Tebe Road to Nakasero to school. But it was simple.
Yes.
Right? A few minutes you're at school. Today dare try the same. Live at the times we used to live for school. That's why you see sometimes children are leaving home at 4:30. Why? Because of jam. So I miss those times. But how my night was? Well, I always go to bed with news at the back of my mind. After watching news, then that's when I sleep. So there's a story that really caught my attention. That is the cabinet decision on externalization of labor.
Yes.
Where Minister for Gender, Labor and Social Development, Honorable Betty Amongi, was meeting people in this business. And she said, well, it is you to justify why we should still let this happen in our country. Because cabinet was divided, some were saying, let's hold for now. Mostly domestic workers. Others were saying we've had enough. Let's stop no domestic workers leaving Uganda. So she told them, give me an explanation that I'm going to go back with satisfactory enough to ensure that this goes ahead. Or we may have to suspend for some time or ban forever labor externalization most when it comes to domestic workers. And I'm like, somehow, somewhere, I think the voices of families, of relatives that cry out loud when their daughters are being mistreated in some of these countries are being heard.
Well, we're yet to see what will come out of that. Although that industry has really been crippled with a lot of issues day in, day out. So we don't know what kind of justification these people are going to come out with to converse the cabinet and see what will definitely be able to come up as the final decision. Good morning, Felix. How are you doing?
Well, I'm awesome. Good morning, Philo. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great.
Clearly, as Robert did take notice, you do look good in black.
Thank you.
Well, also probably allow me to say good morning to Robert.
Yes, good morning, Felix.
I'm still struggling with the fact that Robert said good morning to himself.
Well, self-love. Self-love is very important.
I even take myself out.
Well, As I said, I'm struggling to sort of like comprehend the fact that he loves himself that much to say good morning to myself. I mean, you woke up yourself. You should have done that in bed and man. But anyway, Phil did mention that it's a throwback Thursday. It is, you say.
Yes.
But just been trying to remember the days. If you remember something they call kameme, I don't know if it's there in English.
Oh, the taxi kameme.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Like he used to be a big savior. Because tell you what, remember we used to come from Shimoni here, and you've eaten all
the transport
money, you know, and used to be dirty.
yeah.
Very dirty. You know when you play
Yes.
soccer.
So we used to get border taxis from Esokona to go to Namungongo. Man. It's a lot of, and for me, I think this reminds me of how community used to appreciate being kids.
Yes.
Like the women would start arguing, Toleka mwana, timuiza mbaleka, wama mujeno mwenyige would be like 7 people in Kameme, the conductor sits, and but remember, but some conductors used to make us pay 200 for Kameme, like Bibidi.
Yes.
So if they take you up to Chireka. Hey, but sometimes there are some sharp kids who used to sit next and they would.
At least I know I've also had an experience with kameme. Sometimes when I would make like movements with my mother back then, there is no way they were going to create space for you as a child. You don't have, you know, a space in the chair, so you have to sit on the kameme.
These commuter taxis were taking 4 people, not 3.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
It was 4, not 3. But that thing sometimes, some
thing
vehicles it would burn.
Was hot. Not some vehicles, all vehicles. I don't know.
And someone told me the likes of Felix.
No, what
some
used
may
to
have
do?
permanent damage.
No. What we used to do, we used to put our sweaters. You put your sweater down before.
Yes.
That was the trick.
Yes.
Either you tie the sweater in the waist, then or you put it down. So you get. Because man, Namungongo was a long journey.
Yes.
And remember these taxis, they would stop with these subsidies. I think from Esokona, it would go to Centenary Park, to Spear, that is Nakawa, from Nakawa to Banda. Those they don't just stop. They had, but man.
But if you have to think about it, do you think other countries also had this kameme
in
business?
Africa, yes.
Really?
Yes, as long, I'm telling you.
And I love the word.
Oh, where? Maybe the West African countries, because I feel like the way we live in Uganda, we have quite a number of similarities when it comes to some of the West African countries, especially when it comes to public transport.
And the West African countries in particular, we have a lot in common.
Yes.
But you know, Felix, that today there's a crop of Ugandans that were there then and not existing. Today, when someone sits with a child,
yes,
like, but what happened? That's why when we refer to them as the good old days, what happened to Ugandans today? Even if the kameme is still there in some of these, but children cannot be allowed to sit there.
Of course, now.
What happened?
Well, there is a lot that has changed, Robert. People have become so, people are really stressed, people are very selfish. If somebody has to take on that position, a child sits there, somebody will tell you, I don't have leg room. Well, where do you expect me to put my legs? Back in the day, that is not the kind of reasoning you'd be fronting. Matter of fact, you'd call in more kids to come in. So
I think we've sort of like run away from community life, way of life, and we do notice that everyone is for their own selves.
Absolutely.
And if you notice, one of the evidences of the same is that everyone is trying to put up a big perimeter wall around their house.
Oh yes,
and it's not strange that sometimes you realize that you can be a neighbor with someone and you never know them.
Absolutely.
Like honestly, how many those fences were only for big sort of like these areas like the Kololos, the Nagoros, but in other localities in Rubaga, where would you put a fence? Like we used to use Bukomina in just to demarcate land.
Yes.
That's Kirabo's land stops here, Philo's land, not to try and be in our own
that
space.
kind of life,
you know, top of your fence and all.
Because I remember,
also, you know,
in Rubaga, we used to like when you're playing, where you're playing finds you, that's where you eat lunch. Where you're playing finds, that's where you eat supper. Even shower, then you just come back home. And Jaja was really fun. But now,
Felix, commodity prices are high.
Even
people are on budgets. People are on budgets. If we have 4 people in the family, that's it.
To someone's compound, you would majestically come as a child and take the ball. Today, someone takes pleasure in holding the ball and it becomes a problem.
People's intentions have changed, Robert.
But you know the source of all those problems?
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I think it's women sometimes.
No, Felix, you cannot do
You're not
that.
driving me into that discussion.
Well,
I'm just saying. That's why I said I'm just saying.
Not today.
away from Felix's school of thought about
Let women cause
how all
accidents.
this came up. We'll get into the news and see what happened over here in the country and, of course, outside Uganda. What are we looking at, Robert, this morning?
Well, we begin with President Yoweri Museveni, who welcomed the idea of new hydrogen technology initiated by the visiting American actor Terrence Howard and his wife Mara Parker, who are in Uganda to explore Uganda's tourism potential and investment opportunities in technology. The couple paid a courtesy call on President Museveni at State Lodge Nakasero, where they held a joyful discussion with the president. The couple will visit different parts of the country to explore the beauty of the countryside and explore Uganda's magnificent tourism potential, among others. The actor is also looking for investment opportunities in fields of technology. He said that he was to start up a new hydrogen technology plant in Uganda, which will be the first of its kind in Africa. Some hydrogen technologies are carbon neutral and could have a role in preventing climate change and a possible future hydrogen economy. Hydrogen is a chemical widely used in various applications, including ammonia production, oil refining, and energy. The actor, who is a professional scientist and technology, revealed that he was practicing his profession, more so in the field of research, at the same time doing his film acting.
Also in local stories, now the Prime Minister Robin Anabanja has held a meeting with Karamoja sub-region members of Parliament as a follow-up on the famine crisis in the sub-region. Now, meeting took place at the office of the Prime Minister in Kampala. Now, a consignment of at least 200 tons of relief food has been dispatched to Karamoja sub-region. This is in response to the persistent hunger crisis affecting the people in Karamoja. Now, Prime Minister Robin Anabanja disclosed this while holding a meeting with the Karamoja sub-region members of Parliament. In Kampala, she also added that this will be distributed at the sub-counties to ensure transparency, and of course this will help deal with the question of famine in this particular area.
And now moving to externalization of labor, the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development has faulted labor export companies for bleaching contracts with their candidates, leading to the high rate of stress Ugandans are exploited abroad. This was in a cabinet resolution presented by the Minister for Labor, Gender and Social Development, Betty Amongi, in a stakeholders engagement between the government officials and labor export companies intended to streamline labor export business. The Minister for Gender, Labor and Social Development presented cabinet resolutions on the streamlining of labor export business. Betty Amongi said export companies are accused of bleaching the contract signed with their candidates and pushing many in distress. Government has committed to developing a robust digital monitoring application to speed up areas of monitoring the people that leave the country. Government is planning to sign more bilateral agreements with several other countries to expand market for Uganda labor. Labor companies appeal to government for a legal framework to guide their operations of labor export business with special attaches abroad. Stakeholders in the labor sector business want government to leverage on their contribution to the national economy for special budgetary allocation. In the last financial year, labor export business contributed at least $900 million, becoming the country's main foreign exchange earner.
The Parliament is to investigate allegations that Minister of State Land and Lands Francis Namuganza deemed the operations of Parliament of Uganda, I guess, through various media channels. Now, it is alleged that Minister Namuganza, who was recently faulted Parliament ad hoc committee on allocation of Nakawa Naguru land, decided to respond rudely through media with statements degrading the reputation of the August House. Solomon Silwanyi, the Bukoli Division Central Member of Parliament, raised the matter, which has been forwarded to Parliament Committee on Rules, Privileges for examination.
And across the globe, we're looking at protesters in Sri Lanka defying tear gas, water cannon, and the state of emergency to storm the Prime Minister's office after the country's embattled president fled overseas, with the crowd demanding both men step down in the face of an economic crisis. In a televised statement on Wednesday, Prime Minister Ranil said he had instructed the military and police to do what is necessary to restore order. But armed security personnel stood by on the grounds of his office as protesters, some holding national flags, mailed and took pictures, and other demonstrators at one point broke into state television studios as the country's months-long political and economic crisis appeared to be moving towards a climax. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, 73 years of age, promised at the weekend to resign on Wednesday after escaping his own official residence in Colombo just before tens of thousands of protesters overran it. He flew to the neighboring Maldives early on Wednesday, and as president, he enjoys immunity from arrest and is believed to have wanted to go abroad before stepping down to avoid the possibility of being detained. Well, still in the international news, we're looking at a mass grave containing human ashes equivalent to 8,000 people, which has been discovered near a former Nazi concentration camp in Poland, the country's Institute of National Remembrance said. The institute, which investigates crimes committed during the Nazi occupation of Poland and the communist era, said on Wednesday that the remains were unearthed near the Soldau concentration camp, now known as Zieldowo, north of Warsaw. It's the evidence of how thoroughly the Germans tried to obliterate the traces of genocide they committed in Eastern Europe, the institute said in a statement. Nazi Germany built the camp when it occupied Poland during the Second World War, using it as a place of transit, internment and extermination for Jews, political opponents and members of the Polish political elite. Estimates have put the number of prisoners killed at Soldau at 30,000, but the true toll has never been established. The grim discovery of approximately 15.8 tons, that's about 15,800 kilograms, of human ashes means it can be claimed that at least 8,000 people died there, according to investigator Tomasz Jankowski. Crossing over to our neighbors in Kenya, once a street child in Kenya and a grave digger in the UK, George Wajackoyah has become a political sensation by running for Kenya's presidency on a promise to turn the East African nation into a major exporter of marijuana, snake venom and hyenas' testicles, although many question the feasibility of his plans. The 63-year-old professor, who has a background in law, has proved to be the most eccentric of the four presidential candidates contesting the 9th August election. Polls have ranked the Roots Party candidate a poor third. The latest one, released on 11th July, gives him just 4% of the votes. But pundits say that for a first-time contestant, he's doing well, and the two frontrunners will be worried about shedding even a single vote to him, as the poll predicts a tight contest, putting veteran opposition leaders Raila Odinga on 43% and Deputy President William Ruto on 39%. Wajackoyah is running on an outrageous platform that would ordinarily be laughed out of town, but there is no doubt that he has captured the imagination of angry, disaffected youth in both urban and rural Kenya, cutting across all the regular ethnic, regional and party lines, writes Macharia Gaitho, a leading columnist with Kenya's Daily Nation newspaper. Well, this man is actually doing the most. George Wajakoya, you should get him and go through his manifesto. It has all the craziest things and all the plans that he has for that country. And I must tell you, these people are really not going to have a boring campaign time, at least by the time they get to the final elections. Well,
you know, the first time I read through,
yes,
I thought it was a hoax. I didn't take him serious until it's like, these are real things happening. I followed. I'm like, now Aina testicles, talking about snake venom, then marijuana. And you see, the problem with Africa is we have so many disgruntled youth. And as long as they find someone who identifies with them, many have grown up on streets, many are consuming marijuana, many are in ghettos, many are in that kind of life. So anyone who seems to be more of who they are, Africa, we may not vote for leaders who are above us to take us to our next step. We would be delighted to have our very own, whom we believe understand us better.
Yes.
And you can be shocked at the outcome. He may not win. But you see, the scores may surprise you.
Well, it's
because who are the majority? Look at these elections in Uganda today.
Yes.
Look at our August House. You always have a Class A person who has the vision, who has the ability to transform society. But society neglects him for someone who is more close to them. Some chairmen are drunkards, they are whatever. But because that is the community, now you're a doctor in the same community, you won't get a vote. So never be surprised.
Well, I could say there is a laws. Everybody has their own point of view, and there is something they base on. For any candidate, they decide to give their vote. So if we see that this one is being given 4%, clearly that's not a small number, especially for a man with the kind of manifesto he's presenting, and also considering that he's a first-time contestant for this very big position. So we're yet to see how all this is going to turn out, especially for the Kenyans and the I'm pretty sure the Kenyan youth have a lot to say.
About venom?
Yeah, well, they would see it from a different point of view.
Marijuana?
Well, we are yet to also see that. But in the meantime, there is also something that you ought to know. And of course, when it comes to your health, it's very important for you to prioritize it, to make sure that you are an A-lister. You are ready for anything. Your body is ready to fight whatever infections come in, especially now that we are still trying to fight off COVID-19 all the way till zero. And that is where Robert comes in.
Well, I hear from the venom and Aina whatever plus marijuana. Here are products that are meant to boost your immune system. At just 1,500 shillings, you're saving so much that you would spend on treatment. Now, this is not treatment nor medicine. These are just immune boosters made from local herbs that are hard to come by. So ensure you get yourself one, and I recommend continuous, regular consumption of these. At least on a day, take one bottle. Every day, every day. I guarantee you'll be shocked by how you're going to live a healthy life, and I'm sure you'll come with a very big gift to say thank you for the savings you'll have made over that period.
And in our morning poll question this morning, we want to know from you what you think about the banning of the labor export business. Now, we've seen that the cabinet gave, the Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development, that is Honorable Betty Amongi, time to go and get clear and satisfactory justification as to why they shouldn't be banning this industry in Uganda. And of course, she's expected to be talking to all the proprietors in this business to come up with solid reasons as to why they shouldn't push them out of business because, well, this sector has been dwindled and crippled with a lot of issues that are not exactly coming out with very specific resolutions. So we want to find out from you, do you think it would be a good idea if government decided to ban the labor export business in Uganda? If yes, why? If no, why? Well, use, of course, the platform on Twitter, #UBCGMU, tell us, and we'll definitely be sharing all that with the rest of the Good Morning Uganda community. And feel free to also send us a WhatsApp message. You can also go traditional and send us an SMS text. The number is 0709 602 92. For now, we are throwing it back. It's all about nostalgia, and of course we go back in time to, you know, replenish the good old times with quite a song that I'm sure will evoke some memories within you. When we get back, we'll be having a discussion on Good Morning Uganda Newsreel. We'll be back.
Good Morning Uganda. Topic of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
Simply deposit 20K or more on your mobile money for a chance to win 3 Toyota Succeeds and money to 2,000 lucky winners every week. We're giving away 24 cars and over 2 billion shillings of mobile money.
Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest party of 2022 is here. UBC West MP Kahona launches its Mbarara station on Goat Road in Mbarara City with your favorite entertainer, Echitimbulecha UBC West on 23rd July 2022 at Mbarara University Inn. People of Ankole, Chisoro, Chigezi, Toro, Bunyoro, Rwenzori and all parts of Uganda. Do not miss your cocktail of fun with UBC West presenters, listeners and supporters. Come be part of the 2022 biggest party in the land. With top artists, comedians, cultural dancers and ODs, women cyclists in the cycling competition, sports activities and many more from Western and Central Uganda at only 10,000 shillings. Don't miss the annual crowd puller of UBC West MP Kahona, and that is Etitimbure Reigunga. Proudly powered by Pepsi Cola, Delight Solar, and UBC.
For sponsorship and partnership, call 0700-236-415 or 0782-265-827. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Enjoy more GBs for the same price on Airtel. Kirabo using to Gabane. We have increased GBs across all your favorite packs. Now, 4 GB is at 10,000 shillings and 10.5 GB at 22,500 shillings, all valid for a week. For the heavy data users, enjoy 24 GB at 50,000 shillings and 50 GB at 100,000 shillings, all valid for a month. Dial *175# or use the My Airtel app to buy these and more affordable weekly and monthly data bundles on Airtel, the smartphone network.
Affordable packages, great entertainment,
Sports, the local content, telenovela, the movies.
There is something for everybody.
Go TV, this is where our stories live.
Get the best entertainment for any budget. With GoTV, you will have great entertainment for as little as 13,000 Ugandan shillings per month. GoTV, great stories, Zidiwano. GoTV Uganda, love it.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda. Thank you for joining us once again for this very special segment that is the Good Morning Uganda newsreel. 7 minutes after 7 a.m. I'm Philomena, Mastiko, and I am in the company of these two wise men over here, Robert Kirabo and Felix Nunda. Now, the topic of discussion this morning, we are still going to be following up on what has been happening, especially in the Karamoja region. Now, several reports have been trickling in, showing you what's happening, how we are seeing famine storming very many households in the Karamoja region. And again, this is really very sad because we have seen that about quite a number, half of the population in Karamoja goes about 3 days and 3 nights without any single meal. Now, this is not a statistic that definitely would be making any Ugandan feel at ease or at peace because we know the relevance of having food security to a country. Now, we'll be having a a follow-up, and we'll be having also our reporter, Maureen Yiga, who is best there for now to tell us what is on ground, what is happening, what does the situation look like, any interventions that have come in, from government. All this will definitely be getting the report. But for now, I need to hear from the gentleman. Robert, seeing that we are looking at, because as the days go by, the situation seems to be worsening. Of course, we have seen government come in to, send some food over there, and some money has actually been put on the side for this. But do you think this would actually work out? Is this a short-term intervention, or it could actually be a long-term intervention, of course, as you're trying to sort all these things?
Food aid can never be a long-term solution. It is just addressing the current situation, but it cannot be a permanent solution. However, in my opinion, I want to commend government, because for some time, some members of parliament were talking about this and saying people are dying, people are going without food day and night, people are now moving with firewood and charcoal just to get residue from brew and all that. But I'm now happy that government, through the office of the Prime Minister, seems to have taken up this very serious, because we saw, away from giving information on the floor of Parliament, the Right Honourable Prime Minister, Robin Nabanja, yesterday had a meeting with the MPs from the 9 districts that make up Karamoja sub-region.
Yes.
So when we see government also setting aside money, relief, sending food, at least we know that if this is done very well, because it is different from having money and the food and distributing it evenly or saving a situation. If it is done very well, we are going to end people that are dying now. However, we are not solving the problem. Because there are factors that are leading to these people dying. Giving them food now is good, but if we do not come up with sustainable solutions that we are going to have to ensure that these people can, on their own, have food. We know Karamoja is a semi-arid area, but there are other parts in the world, or even in Africa, that are worse than Karamoja. Those people are not depending on food aid. So some are not depending on food aid.
Yes.
So how do we transform this region of Karamoja? I want to tell you, there are a lot we are importing from the Arab land. Can you imagine? Arab land. Very dry. These are deserts. But because the government prioritized these areas, now we can buy, we can import certain food from there. So Karamoja is not the worst. But how do you have permanent solutions to that problem?
Yes. Well, Felix, before we actually get joined by Maureen, just to pick from you, what do you think would be some of the long-term solutions to this?
Well, we must be able to engage into a long-term, comprehensive and very, very inclusive. I must insist, we must get an inclusive approach to the challenge of food security. As we did say a couple of days ago, that empowerment is one of the best ways, but sensitization is one, because as Robert gave us a background, I think a couple of days ago, that these people have preferred to be, he called them pastoralists, did he say? Not herdsmen, pastoralists, he said in particular, that they have chosen to live a particular way of life, which does not entirely contribute to the security of food in that particular region. So we must be able to sort of like be willing to teach them a new way of livelihood that helps them sustainably be able to be to produce food for their own consumption. But also, we must engage other stakeholders. Government, in most recent times, between you and me, you know that almost all governments have challenges lately. And how do we bring other stakeholders on board? If we can entice also the private sector, it would be a good thing. There are many particular SMEs or corporate companies that can do a lot of work in Karamoja. So I think this is the best time for government to partner with some of these companies that can be able to do a good job in terms of bringing to life what we call sustainable approaches to eliminate the food insecurities in this particular region. I think it's the best time for government to get some formidable partnerships, in my opinion. Partnerships like with NGOs, with, as I said earlier, SMEs or corporate institutions or SMEs, and even individuals. There are people like the Nzikas of this world, you know, and very many others who have mastered the art of food production, and that is for off-season and on-season. You get it, because in Uganda we no longer have issues of seasons, in as much as people do farming throughout the year, January to January. Yeah.
All right. Well, like I did promise you, of course, earlier on, we are going to be joined by Maureen Yiga, who is currently in Karamoja, and she's going to be telling us what's happening over there. Good morning, Maureen, and thank you for joining us on Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda.
Well, maybe to get straight into the issues, now that you're based in Karamoja right now, we would really love to know what is the situation like. You know, give us the overview of what is happening in Karamoja before we get into all the nitty-gritties.
The food insecurity in Karamoja is worrying, because right now, I'm in Kotido right now,
yes.
And the chairman OC5 told me close to 1,000 people have passed on since February this year due to anger.
Yes. That's really, really, really very sad. Over, you know, this is quite a big number, losing to famine. But anyway, from the observations and maybe from the research you have done and the people you've talked to, what are the main causes that we are looking at that could be, you know, causing this food insecurity to intensify in the region?
Most people say the prolonged drought, which has been around for some time, and the insecurities which has scared away the people from the farms. People cannot cultivate because they fear the warriors to attack them. So most of them, they stayed home. They could not cultivate.
Yes.
And those ones who tried to cultivate, the drought affected them.
Okay, so we're looking at also the weather being quite a big player in this, aside from even what's happening, the insecurity over there. Well, Maureen, any interventions that have come through from government for the short term, has any relief been received in Karamoja, any of the districts over there?
So far, that has received the food. According to the RDC, yesterday they received 10,000 tons of beans and 20,000 tons of maize from government. And in Napak, they are going to give out food today. They are beginning to give out food today.
Okay. So yes. For only Apak and Kotido?
No, that received, 8 sub-counties received the food yesterday.
Okay.
And in Napak, they are beginning to distribute food today.
All right. And how is the response from the community? Are people actually coming in?
Like the partners.
Has the community been able to respond to this intervention from government?
Of course, they have been coming in high numbers, because many people, like especially the old people.
Yes.
They don't have like anything. Many people who are on HIV drug, the ARVs, they are no longer taking them because they don't have what to eat.
Okay.
Yes.
And when we look at the local leadership in most of these areas, have they been able to be in touch with government, you know, to talk about the long-term interventions? Because when you are looking at food will work for now, but what happens in the long run? Have they had any talks with government?
When I was talking to the LC5 Kotido district yesterday, was telling me they want mechanized agriculture. Let government bring tractors, irrigation skills, so that these people they are willing to cultivate, but because of this prolonged drought, now many people they don't want. But if government comes in with tractors and irrigation schemes, many people will have food in the future.
Okay. And also getting back to the security, earlier on you did say that people now are scared to get into the gardens because attacks could be coming in from, you know, the warriors. Is there any security, are there any security moves you're seeing to make sure that maybe, you know, peace can be a bit restored, at least for people to feel secure and maybe be able, or has any conversation about that been had?
But since the month of June,
yes,
there was increase in deployments by security forces.
Yes.
And insecurity cases have reduced. We have remained with isolated cases in some areas.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are still with Maureen Iga, and she's telling us about the food security in the Karamoja sub-region. And I can tell you that the news that is coming out of there is not really, really good. It's very, very sad. Well, Maureen, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. We'll be, of course, in touch with you to get more updates of what is happening over there. All right. Okay. Well, you've heard the numbers, gentlemen. People are actually dying. You know, when you get the reports, sometimes it's a little bit different from when you get the information from people on ground. It's quite a big number that we are losing to famine. And it's very scary, okay? And we're not sure that this is yet to stop. Yeah, government has dispersed relief food over there, and you've seen that most of the areas are not yet covered. But even then, we are not sure for how long this food is supposed to, you know, be taking these people. What do you think about this, Robert?
Most interesting is we know the problem and we know the solutions. The challenge is implementation. Sometimes what disturbs me in our country is we do short-term things. When we have severe drought, you hear so much being talked about irrigation schemes.
Yes.
Remember about 7 years back, we had a prolonged drought. And everything was irrigation, irrigation. We're going to have this irrigation, budget allocation. But after some time, we go away from that. I'm happy, Maureen has told us. The people are willing to cultivate. But to be honest, I'm passionate about agriculture. I practice some. But there is nothing that frustrates someone like planting and drought destroys your crops. Remember, Karamajongs are not, they're not used to digging. For them, it is the cow, and the cow is everything. So if you're going to take them into agriculture, it has to be easier than any other part of the country. Sort of like Central here, where for them holding the whole, sort of like Kabale, where they even have community, where they work on your garden, tomorrow they go to Nkunda's garden. No. So when they call for mechanization of agriculture, give them these ox, you know how where they tie them on bulls and you're able to do that. Give them the fertilizers. I told you earlier that there are countries today are not very far from us that we are importing agricultural produce from them, but they are semi-arid areas. It is said that there are even countries, there is a country that once even took our soils to their country because it is dry.
Yes.
And they used the soil they collected from Uganda, and now they are growing crops of which we are importing. Talk of apples, berries, and all this. But you see? So, this is not an impossibility. It is practical. Where there is a will, there is a way. It has ever been done, it can be done. Long-term solutions is what I'm advocating for. Mechanization, irrigation. My only worry is implementation. That we do not see committees, COSASE, we do not see a recap of some years back when Office of the Prime Minister was up in arms. It was being criticized for abuse, misuse of these funds. That people do not see arcades, do not see new houses, do not see expensive vehicles in the suffering of the Karamajongs right now.
Okay. Well, you talk about implementation, which actually is quite a big problem in everything, by the way, when it comes to government, you know, whether implementing policies, whether implementing the legal, you know, from the legal point of view, all these regulations they put in place and all the laws, implementation has always been a problem. Now, when it comes to implementation of some of these long-term alternatives or solutions. And I believe this is where, Felix, you're going to come in. How do we get to work on the implementation problem? Who do we look at to make sure that implementation is driven to 100%? We see results from all these policies or from all these interventions that they're coming up with, especially for the long term. How do we get to implement all this?
Yeah, tell you what, civilization gives us an opportunity to have orderly administration, and the same is well defined in the existence of governance, let alone what we call government. In Uganda, we have a government that is pretexted in three arms: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. Now, whereas touching the matter of policy, which Robert brings out as a concern of implementation, it has directly to fall into the confines of legislation. Now, that brings question in, it brings in question of three major aspects. One, what is the policy on ground in terms of agriculture?
Yes.
Because everything we are talking about today is agriculture. Or, most recent, it has been fairly there's a fair substitution of agriculture into industrialization, because now there are some particular foods that are manufactured. But definitely, of course, they will take you back to raw material, which is then agriculture. Speaking of policy, or you can call it fairly the law, then talk about funding, which then brings you back to budgetary allocation.
Yes.
How much money, let's talk about even this financial year that has just been rolled out, how much money was put into agriculture? When you put the money into agriculture, the next question is, how do you allocate that money to make sense out of such allocations? Or out of
expenditure? You have a big budget going on salary.
Thank you so much. And that brings us again to what I talked about, that governance, administration, and policy. What does the policy say? Because we may have a budget of, say, 100 billion whatever,
yes,
but 70 billion is on fuel, salaries of ministers,
yes,
of administrators, committees. Now, you only have probably 30% of the budget that is going to be implementable into making sense, yes, out of that particular allocation. So, if you want to talk about inclusion of such policies, if you want to talk about long-term solutions, you must get to the root. How much money is allocated? Actually, let's start with who is supposed to allocate. Do they even understand this problem?
Yes.
It is sad that we're getting information that this has been on for about this is not just right now. It's been on for about 5 months.
Yes.
Since actually the beginning of the year. Have you ever had a matter of urgency before Parliament to discuss this? And I'm not saying it has never been there, but we would have known.
Yes.
I remember Parliament, we have had the opposition in this country boycott sessions, parliamentary sessions. Do you know why? You remember last time they boycotted, what was the reason?
Politics.
That is Segdinya. And with due respect, I know what it means for someone to be in prison. They have family that will depend on them and all these things. I'm not saying that's not a good reason.
Yes.
But I'm only thinking fairly and squarely that we are not yet taking this as a big deal. Okay, we need to have this as a matter of urgency. Away from the Prime Minister and the executive dealing with it, how are other government institutions? Because they work in unison.
Yes.
Okay, now, sustainability or having it as a long-term solution is not, all we are doing is fixing today. We must have a better discussion into the backbone to assist us. One, budgetary allocations, implementation of relevant policy, or what you can call, you may choose to call law. What is the framework onto assisting such scenarios? Is this something we should be dealing with as relief?
Because
is this disaster really?
If
you're going to categorize the challenge of food insecurity in a particular region, do you want to call this a disaster or relief? Where do you place it? Because I don't think this can be in the same category with things like landslides. In fact, most recently, we are also moving landslides away from disaster because they are normally warnings. If Molen was here, I would tell you that we normally make something you foresee, you anticipate, it ceases to be disaster. So it means that we just have to be better prepared through the amount of money we allocate to particular sectors. But Robert also causes more emphasis about allocation is not just enough. How do we focus more on implementation than administration? It is worrying that, as I've said, that if you allocate 100 million, let's say billion, let's just take an example, 100 million,
yes,
and the 50 is going to be spent on administering than practicalizing the actual. So we must look at these things. We are not going to get away from the situation of relief and disaster management if we don't get back to the beginning of the problem. Let's allocate enough money for agriculture.
So we could say we are focusing more on administration as opposed
which is what you call managing
yes,
the situation.
Yes.
Now we are calling it relief. But really, we have seen this coming. Scientists have told us there will be, and these are warnings. There were warnings. The weather
and they're
will
still
be like
warning
this.
even right now.
Yes.
They're still warning.
So how do you call that disaster? You saw it coming.
And I'm also
How
worried.
I mean, I think we are not doing enough as institutions of governance, let alone, again, government for that matter.
Yes.
And we should be more proactive dealing with the known.
Yes.
If thunder strike today, I can't blame anyone. I mean, who
or an earthquake.
An earthquake, I can't blame anyone.
Yes.
But famine,
we are being negligent.
When we have regions in this country where a bunch of matoke is being sold at about 2,000 shillings, another region is people are dying because they can't eat. I think we just have to do a bit of agricultural balance and see how, what are we trading? And this is where I bring it. It may look a bit small. Let me just also chip in this, allow me, that I am seeing another bigger disaster on top of this in this particular region in about 10, 15 years from now. We have been having this discussion with Robert probably even last year that with this continuing street children from that same region, while other regions' children are going to schools, they are studying, the children of this particular region are on streets doing what? Now, who is going to go back to change these communities?
Yes.
And this is something that today we are discussing food. 10 years from now, people who will sit here will be discussing that.
Yes.
That there are no doctors there. There's, you get it?
Yes.
So I think those are things, and then they will call it a disaster. But these are things we must look at and be able to find solutions in the now to avoid what we can see later on.
Okay, well, just to pick from all that you've said, clearly we are being a bit short-sighted. We're not seeing really for the long term. And what you said, I really agree with you, Felix, about how we are going to be having different problems in 10 years from now. But these problems are already starting up right now, and we are probably turning a deaf ear, or we are choosing not to see them, or we are actually not seeing them. But I believe government is smart. They have people who see all this, so there is a lot of work.
For me, my only prayer is implementation.
Yes.
Today you're giving food and seedlings, but you see, as a farmer, these seedlings to germinate in a semi-arid. I gave you an example where people, even here in Central today, you need fertilizers.
Yes.
Felix can allude to this, and farmers there, even in Central region, you need fertilizers. You're giving Karamajongo's seedlings, no fertilizers. Sometimes I think we act in a panic. The end of the day, we make so many losses. It is important that we look at long term, we go step by step, and above all, Karamoja should be top on agenda now.
Yes.
Should not be like some people. Top on agenda should be Karamoja, the parish development model, top anything. You know, we can concentrate on this region, maybe for the next 5-10 years. And who knows, it could be the food basket or something turn out to be very, very developmental and contributing to the national economy.
Yes.
But from saying there are minerals, now there are minerals, we hear minerals. What value are these minerals then to the people?
Okay.
But if you may allow me just,
yes.
I think this is a point in time where we need to see also political players make a statement. A couple of days ago, we did see one of the parties in the country, that is the NUP, break ground on how they are going to be constructing their headquarters. We have seen always various political parties. I think it is also politely a way for them to make a statement for some of these crises, to make a bit of change, either to make some rallies to assist these people. Like there must be a bit of nationalism
away
in
from
how
the
we
politicking
handle,
element.
because you can imagine there's been lots of dispatches from primarily parliament in different political activities. When do we see the role of politics in aiding such situations? I'm not talking about Karamoja alone. I think there's a bit of unfairness from our politicians also. In things like this, it should be government. Whereby, of course, it should be government. It is a given. But from a moral aspect of
and also
things,
even
there must
being
be a contribution.
human,
Absolutely. From a moral aspect, there must be something. Parliament can even say, for us as Parliament, we are, you know, I think it's for all of us. When
we decided to
Felix, I remember the Speaker of Parliament telling members of Parliament, you know, when they came up with the Jacob Olanya, you remember fund?
Yes.
And they agreed that, you know what, let's deduct 1M from each member of Parliament.
To contribute to the fund,
fund. My friend, it was disaster.
No, but Robert, I think that's really different. And I wouldn't blame anyone. Well, when it comes to issues of personal, that was entirely a personal family thing. But we are talking about a matter where we are seeing a region where you will go and look for votes, where, you know, this is a national really, and you have over 100 people dying because of hunger, and you don't want to sit in your own confine as a politician and brag about a new car, ceremonial, like where is the heart? In as much as there is always the law and policy, we cannot detach ourselves from being human beings. And that is why we have things like, you know. So
Felix, I will tell you one thing.
My appeal also finally to this is I want to urge government to vet non-government organizations in Karamoja. When I was in Karamoja, I saw so many NGOs. People building houses, people making money from the suffering of these people. Whites were like whites, people, and I was like, what is happening? So we should vet these people. If they're not adding value in transforming these people, they should pack and go. Because a person goes in Karamoja, this NGO in Karamoja, they're building castles and everything, the people are not there polite, they're not benefiting.
Well, I can tell you one thing though, I really wanted to respond to you, Felix. Quite a number of our politicians here are so unreliable. Very, very unreliable. Oh yes, they are. So even if they had to come in from a humanity side, it's a little bit tricky. It's a little bit tricky because everybody is selfish. We have seen our very own representatives in parliament and all other politicians. They will come and promise you because they want votes. They will do short term. I think we are all about short term for most of them. So again, mindset. We need to change
remember COVID
mindset.
times how people were generous when they knew the president would read their names at the end of the day. People brought in and he could have the list.
And for me, it's okay.
Yes.
I don't care if you want to take the stage, but as long as you've done something good. I really don't care. Because there are people who are happy to give with one arm and the other won't know. There are people who are happy to give and everyone should know, which is okay as long as
just bring in what you have to bring.
For me, I don't care, yeah. Don't worry, I think the president will read you out if you give food to people in Karamoja. We are going to ask the president to be reading out people who are donating people in Karamoja, if that's what you want.
Well, there you go. Bring what you have to bring it. We don't care whether they recognize you or not. As long as relief is delivered.
At least I'm sure we can ask the Honorable Robin Anabanja to read these people. I'm not sure about the president, but I'm sure the Prime Minister will, at this point, request
the
that to
Prime
read.
Minister, they may not, but when you say
The big man.
is going to address and read.
Well, there you go, there you go. There is still a lot that, of course, is being desired, especially by, you know, the people from Karamoja. High expectations from government, even from communities, because they're quite in a dire state, and there is no way we can say that we are happy, of course, as a nation when we are seeing a very, very ugly and very terrible news like this coming out. We cannot afford to lose people to famine in one region when we are also having other people flourish in other regions. That kind of imbalance is definitely never a good one. Well, that's it from this morning's discussion. We are headed to the road, but before that we'll also be getting into the papers to take a look at some of the big stories. Thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Football packages, great entertainment,
Sports, the local content, telenovela, the movies.
there is something for everybody.
Everybody,
Go TV,
this is where great stories live.
Get the best entertainment for any budget. With GoTV, you will have great entertainment for as little as 13,000 Uganda shillings per month. GoTV, great stories, Zidiwano. GoTV Uganda, love it.
Success.
Enjoy more GBs for the same price on Airtel. Kirabo using to Gabane. We have increased GBs across all your favorite packs. Now, 4 GB is at 10,000 shillings and 10.5 GB at 22,500 shillings, all valid for a week. For the heavy data users, enjoy 24 GB at 50,000 shillings and 50 GB at 100,000 shillings, all valid for a month. Dial *175 hash or use the My Airtel app to buy these and more affordable weekly and monthly data bundles on Airtel, the smartphone network.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Welcome to the press review this morning as well. There is quite a number of stories, of course, that are making it to our papers. We have the New Vision, we do have the Daily Monitor, and of course the Daily Nation. And I will tell you that with the New Vision, there's quite a number of scholarships that are up for grabs. So if you're a continuing student, especially for the arts subjects, well, there is a whole lot you can pick up from, and how the 271,000 eligible students can apply. Definitely you can get all that in the paper. Now, government also goes on to register big farmers for parish model. Yes, it is officially in. And Kampala traders cry foul over ban in loans. And still looking at Mubaje Sensha plot collapses. Well. American film star seeks to invest in Uganda. We are talking about Terrence Howard, and clearly I can say that His Excellency must be happy, because the investments this man wants to bring into the country are science-based. So looking at the fact that we are headed towards that direction, I think it would be good. It would be good.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, Philo, crossing over to the Daily Monitor, we see Museveni rejects World Bank middle income data, where of course they did challenge Uganda being in the middle income state. But of course, a very beautiful photo here of the NUP sending food relief to Karamoja, which is something we've been talking about earlier.
Oh, yes.
Clearly not in the beacon of those politicians who don't care. That's the National Unity Platform. Comes out to send some relief food a day after government also had dispatched food to the same region, which is a good gesture from this political party, I must add. But also Mubaje survives Ulster and General Guti replaced at court martial. Now government blocks teachers with past degrees and UPDF confirms huge pay rise for top brass. In DM today, relationships, he showed up for our first date with one shoe. Really? It's not even funny, trust me. Well, of course, still in the Daily Monitor now, Uganda to participate in Italian Trade Expo and what to expect that expo. But also today in history, Museveni becomes acting president 1979. Oh,
okay.
And terrorists run into bus. That is a Bastille Day fate that is there. Of course, in history now, that was on the July 14th, 2016. Well, of course, also now still looking at the new vision. Inside the papers there, we see religious leaders to promote PDM. Okay, that's quite interesting. And government allocates additional 6.6 billion to people with disabilities. And again today in history, that is the King Mutebi turns drums, that is in 1993, and also that is Eritrea says yes to peace. And of course they do come out to also give you the COVID tracker on how we are faring. Well, in sports in the Daily Monitor, we see a hat-trick there, and the host will face a big treat from internal rivals, Kenya, who have Captain Dennis Mara, 2020 Uganda Amateur Open champions, that is John Lejima. He lifted that title at Kitante. And Cheptegei leads African Stars to Oregon World. Now still in the same papers, we see Maweje Nzikuru preach discipline. There now USF happy with Nabomari Gala despite low representation, and she cranes call for girl child support, and Mutabika to benefit from Rotary 5-a-side event. And still in sports in the new vision, we're looking at trust us to do a perfect job. Who to trust? Get yourself a copy of these papers, and Nyonyintono first off the mark. But still in sports, we will take the game to our rivals, Onyango Said and Mugerwa's final 12 she cranes. Now all is not well as FC players demand pay. Get more details of the same when you get yourself copies of the dailies.
Well, the Daily Nation this morning, the battlegrounds are getting hotter by the minutes. There are slightly more than 4 million votes up for grabs here, and 10 counties to decide winner. These will determine definitely who will be taking the trophy home on the 9th of August. Of course, this is in relation to Decision 2022. And of course, Jubilee scored below average on human rights. You can get the full story on page 13 of the Daily Nation this morning. And they also take you through the man with 9 lives. Who is that? How is he? Could he have connections to the Katz family? Well, you have to grab yourself the Daily Nation and find out more over what's happening there in Kenya. But also another thing that you really need to know, definitely those are the traffic updates this morning. How are the roads faring? Okay, and of course we really need to know what definitely will be happening to you. For you who is living home and you're headed to the city center, or if you're leaving the city center and you're headed home, and especially you're coming in from areas of Makerere, Mulago, Kamocha, looking at Bukoto and Ntinda, all these I am drawing emphasis on. And I could say the overview is that most of these roads are actually very busy and occupied, quite evident. And of course, the red lines and the oranges are spotted all over the place. But starting right from Makerere, of course, as you're headed towards the city center, of course, passing by Uganda Museum, I could say this a very specific road, and that is Chia Road, is very busy this early morning. The reds and maroons are actually dominating quite the biggest part on this specific road. Right from the roundabout here, as you're headed all the way till around Mawanda Road, the traffic is actually extremely heavy, and it progresses from red to maroon. So I could say that this morning we're looking at very many road users. Now this is mainly for the people coming in. However, for the people leaving, it should be a walkover as portrayed by the green lines over here. Now continuing all the way around Chira Road, I could say the road is also still busy. Over here we do have some traffic already heavy, and we do have some traffic build-ups as well. And if you're coming in from the Tafno Road and also using Mawanda Road is not looking so rosy this morning. The orange is taking the biggest stretch, and we do also have the reds over here. So I could say that this is a no-go zone for you who is trying to access the city center, unless you're already there. But if you can, please avoid it and get an alternative road for this very specific morning. However, as you go on all the way still to Old Chair Road, I could say that the situation is not any different. Like I did say this morning, seems that we're having quite a very busy morning, especially for the best part of this specific road. Now taking you all the way to Kisingidi Street, this is of course from Old Mulago Road. We're still looking at some roads being quite a bit vacant as you're headed towards the city center. So if you're coming in from areas around here, then it shouldn't be a problem. Clearly showing that for the most parts of residential places, it's not a problem this morning. But when you head into the city center, that is where the problem starts. Looking at areas around Bukoto this morning is actually very busy as well. Of course, on a daily mandatory, quite a busy town center, but also the roads are not any different as shown. We have a red here, we do have some maroons here, showing that the traffic in this very specific spot is very heavy. So it may require you to be a little bit patient if you are trying to navigate. Of course, this is Moyo Close and Mukalazi Road, which is definitely a bad idea for you to use this morning. But if it's the only route that you can put to use, well, you will have to exercise patience while at it. Headed towards Bukoto Chisasi Road, it's also quite very busy. Matter of fact, we do have traffic already happening here, and in some spots it's actually building up. So this is also another route that you definitely have to, while you are leaving your home area, getting into the city center. So headed still towards Chira Road and also looking at Magambo Road, the traffic is also starting to build up. Now this is a road that definitely leads you into the main road, and again, seeing that we are having a junction over here, the traffic is expected because we are having very many other road users try to join the main road. Now of course, as you're headed towards Ntinda is really very busy. Looking at Semawate Road, looking at all these other roads that trickle into the main road, this is quite a busy area as well this morning. So if you're coming in from areas of Bukoto, Ntinda, I'm looking at Mulago, I'm looking at all the surrounding areas, Makerere, then I could say that you're in for quite a drive this morning, and of course a little bit of patience and waiting here and there. The traffic hiccups are very many on most of the roads. There could be the shortcuts, could be the main roads, so you have to be patient. But like we always say, you could decide to have an early morning, wake up as early as you can to beat the traffic, or you could decide to leave slightly later if all your pending, responsibilities are not that urgent. However, if you can't help it, then you definitely have to be a disciplined road user, because you cannot afford to be selfish. You're not the only road user on all our roads. So yes, it is your responsibility, and I will keep reminding you day in, day out, you have to be careful on the roads. We are in a drive to make sure that we reduce at the numbers of our fellow Ugandans we are losing because of irresponsibility from some of us and even from other individuals. Well, that's it from the traffic updates this morning. Do look out for the GMU agenda. And again, later on, you'll be having sports updates coming in from Ruben Mpima Chibirango. He'll be telling you what's happening over there in the world of sports. So do not go anywhere. And mind you, we are running live on our YouTube, so you can always catch up on all the details from A up to Z. I will leave you for this morning. Have a great and wonderful one. I am Philomena Mastiko.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Success.
Get connected today with the My Airtel 4G smartphone and enjoy free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 Uganda shillings. That's free 2 GB for the first month and free 1 GB for the next 11 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings with free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 shillings only. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest party of 2022 is here! UBC West MP Kahona launches its Mbarora station on Goat Road in Mbarora City with your favorite entertainer, Echitimbulecha UBC West on 23rd July 2022 at Mbarora University Inn. People of Ankole, Chisoro, Chigezi, Toro, Bunyoro, Rwenzori and all parts of Uganda. Do not miss your cocktail of fun with UBC West presenters, listeners and supporters. Come be part of the 2022 biggest party in the land. With top artists, comedians, cultural dancers and ODs, women cyclists in the cycling competition, sports activities and many more from Western and Central Uganda at only 10,000 shillings. Don't miss the annual crowd puller of UBC West MP Kahona, and that is Etitivure Reigunga. Proudly powered by Pepsi Cola, Delight Solar, and UBC.
For sponsorship and partnership, call 0700-236-415 or 0782-265-827. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Welcome to English in a Minute. Children are sometimes afraid of the dark. But what do you think this expression might mean?
What was all that shouting about earlier?
Kim and Craig broke up, but they still have to work together. Problems.
Wait, Kim and Craig were dating?
How can you be so in the dark with this one? They were always holding hands and making kissy faces.
Forget I asked. Ugh.
When you are in the dark, you are not informed about a situation. You don't have all the facts. Or maybe you don't want all the facts, like Jonathan in our example.
Ugh.
But you can also be kept in the dark on purpose by a friend, company, or government. And that's English in a Minute.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Topic of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by Simply deposit 20K or more on your mobile money for a chance to win 3 Toyota Succeeds and money to 2,000 lucky winners every week. We're giving away 24 cars and over 2 billion shillings of mobile money.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here, in the lush green all around us, and the wondrous sights within. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking, to the taste of food that takes you on a journey, in the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth, in the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
It's a bright morning. Thank you for keeping it with us here on UBC TV on this day where we choose to discuss one of the most current ways of eradicating poverty that government is looking at. Just to take you back, our government has had a number of interventions right from the 1980s, around 86, 87. We once had the Ntandikwa, many people refer to it as the Chisamba Mugerwa, where government was still planning ways of how it can assist Ugandans move out of poverty. We had also the Youth Livelihood Scheme. If you remember very well, we had wealth creation where farmers were given actually seedlings, were given demand-driven agricultural produce to help them run out of poverty. And we also had a time actually when government was moving so much in issues of circles. So there have been a number of government interventions aimed at eradicating poverty and improving incomes of Ugandans. It was early this year, that was in February, the 26th to be more particular, in Kibuku district when His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni launched the Parish Development Model, where he said the 39 people that are in the non-money economy, this is the vehicle that is going to get them into the money economy with a specific interest on household incomes. Now, joining me on set is Dr. Constantine Bitwaiki, who happens to be an international development consultant, but also an advisor to Uganda Broadcasting Corporation and a specialist on parish development model. Doctor, you're most welcome to our studios.
Thank you very much, and good morning, Mr. Moderator, and good morning, viewers and listeners.
Well, Doctor, there has been so much happening and talked about the parish development model, more so when the recent times we've seen our members of parliament in recess.
Yes.
Many of them use that time to say one or two, three things. Others, we've also seen this being launched in a number of divisions in Kampala. But help the public understand, when we talk about the parish development model, what are we referring to?
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. And one thing and one key point you have started with is that recently, all the ministers, all our members of parliament had to be told, please go to the places where you come from so that you can sensitize your people to understand what this parish development program is all about. And this is one of the few cases personally since I was born to hear a president ordering all the top politicians, those are now the cabinet ministers and the parliament, to go back to the villages where they come from. Because if you are a minister and you go back to where you are born, in most cases, whatever word that comes out of your mouth becomes almost the Bible truth. When you're a member of parliament and you go to your communities, whatever you talk to your community, it becomes the Bible truth. So this parish development model program is a program for all of us. It's a program for the entire country. It's a program, as you rightly said, that is meant to help people who are in a certain percentage, the 39%. These are our peasantry farmers. These are our people in cities or towns who cannot even have money to buy one bag of charcoal to start trading it. These are our people in the rural areas who only depend on handouts. These are the people in rural areas who are called Bapakasa. They are always going to look for where some person can give them some 2,000 shillings for them. Either they dig or slash or dig around the compound or even paint people's houses. Mr. Moderator, these are the kind of people we're talking about. And as we go along, we shall be explaining more, but I wanted to put it into that perspective.
Well, having explained the kind of people that we are looking at in this program, how then is this program going to cause the desired transformation? What is it all about in terms of addressing this problem?
Now, this program, Mr. Moderator, its conceptualization is certainly much different from most of the programs we have had. This is a program where the president has continued to say, as a government, we try to plan for interventions for our people, but these interventions or this help or this assistance does not get to our people. But now with this parish development model, the government has done it in such a way that they want the common person to feel whatever little it is, but the government want it to get to the people, and when it gets to the people, they use it in the way they want to use it. So in a sense that the government is going through the process of identifying the people who fall in that poverty level category in all parishes of this country. That's the first thing that the government, they are trying to identify who are these people who are being referred to be as the poor, the people who are not outside the money economy, people who only survive on whatever they plant or whatever they do, that same day it is eaten and there's no shilling in their pocket. So this parish development program by government, and which I'm happy everybody is now for, whether opposition or government, is meant to help our people who are in that absolute poverty. Somebody has kids, for the kid to go to school, must first of all go and mortgage some few items. If he has 5 chicken, he says, I have 3 chicken, but my child is going to school, I don't have a coin. Can you please give me 20,000 shillings for the kid to go to school? Then maybe I will leave this chicken with you, or after I've worked for you, then you can release back my chicken. So this is a special program in the sense that it has been targeted. But the issue is, there are a lot to be done. But for me, one thing I'm happy with is, first of all, the government has put a lot of emphasis on sensitizing the people.
Talking about sensitization, yes. The public is eager to know, Doctor, how are they going to benefit from this program? Yes, away from saying this is a targeted group.
Yes.
The key question here is, if I'm among the targeted group, how am I going to benefit? Many hear of it. Recently, you talked about the president directing members of parliament. I saw people speak, and they reminded me of words of one great man who said, "He who has not researched has no right to speak."
That's right.
Because I saw some members of parliament, with due respect, saying, now look, people, they have given them 10,000, 15,000 as parish development model money. And I was like, Jesus, this is not actually what is happening. So how then are people going to benefit from the parish development model, looking at the 7 pillars?
Exactly. Now, what has happened with this parish development model program, the government has put, first of all, emphasis on mindset change. They are trying to educate our people or ourselves, what do this person that the parish development model is targeting, who is this person? Which is very, very important, that when I know I'm in that category, first of all, I appreciate this, I'm being identified, I'm in that category. The next level is, what is the status of my household or my status quo where I live? Why are they saying I'm in this poverty level category? After we have worked on those our people's minds, then they are set to understand that yes, I am in this category, and this is the direction the government is saying I need to take, and then start benefiting. Now, in that identification, they are trying to say, you, myself, him or her, we are going to be in one group, what they are calling an enterprise group, with similar intentions, similar ideas, so that this money that is going to the parish development circle is not to say, people have been there waiting that I'm waiting for that million put to build my house. This money is not being given to an individual. That's why they're saying they're identifying those people first, put them into groups, relevant groups of what they want to do, and then if you have got 10 groups in a parish, then each of the group will have their own executive. When they get that money from the parish circle, they work as a group. Now, when they work as a group, they have a particular enterprise or a business they're trying to do together, but as a group. Then when they get it, they do whatever they are doing, and then one key thing that they're trying, also government is trying to do, is to build our people's capacity to be able to use this money efficiently and effectively. That's very, very important.
Well, at that level,
that's one of the pillars.
We're still looking at the 7 pillars of the parish development model. Yes. Pillar number 1, well explained by Dr. Constantine. Allow me to take a short break, and when I return, I'll be joined by another guest on set. Good morning. Keep it with us.
Thank you very much.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here, in the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking, to the taste of food that takes you on a journey, in the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth. In the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa.
Football packages, great entertainment, sports, the local content, telenovela, the movies. There is something for everybody. Everybody, Go TV. This is where our best stories live.
Get the best entertainment for any budget. With GoTV, you will have great entertainment for as little as 13,000 Uganda shillings per month. GoTV, great stories, Zidiwano. GoTV Uganda, love it.
Success.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Welcome back from that short break. Like I had earlier told you, we are joined now by another guest on set, who is Edward Katende from Uganda Development Forum. Edward, you're most welcome.
Thank you very much.
And we're still discussing the parish development model, but let me allow Dr. Constantine to continue taking us through the 7 pillars of the parish development model, which will help you, our viewer this morning, to better understand the parish development model. I don't know why we are so much into financial inclusion, financial inclusion. It's as if there are no other pillars. Doctor, we were on pillar 1, well discussed. Let's continue.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and again, good morning, viewers and listeners. I had talked about the issue of sensitization as a very core pillar to talk about our mindset, to make us understand where we are. The other pillar is the pillar of infrastructure development. Because you see, as much as we're mobilizing our people down there, or even in the cities, wherever they are in towns, we have to have an enabling environment. If, for example, they have done production, if they are in one particular parish, and yet they have produced a very big quantity, say, of groundnuts, and yet in their parish there is a river that crosses that cannot allow some people to come and buy their produce. So under this PDM, there's a pillar called infrastructure development and services. So that's another area that under this pillar and under this parish model that is being addressed. Then there's also the issue of you cannot produce anything when you are sick. There is also issue of health services. Not only that, after you are okay, we also want people to get educated. Because you see, when you are not educated, some of these things you cannot understand, or you will not move, in an organized way. So the aspect of education is also under the pillars on social services. Then when you come down, you have the issue of financial services. They are saying one of the things that people have thought and they are thinking is that the parish development model is about money. Money is just an enabler. It is one of the pillars. But then when you look at development and they say they are bringing money, that's why the challenge is. And that's why this is a special program. We have talked about people being sensitized. There's the issue of infrastructure development and services. There's the issue of health. There's the issue of education. And I'm also going to ask my colleague to add on some of the pillars. Katende has been with me for quite a long time.
Yes, Katende here, more light on the pillars. Yes, we know there are 7 pillars of the parish development model. And to my disappointment, I must say, I don't even know why one of the last has been prioritized by everybody, or majority of the people. I saw politicians, money, this money is not enough. Instead of 17, we are getting 7. And I was like, if you have increased production, we have infrastructure, even maybe without money, and mindset change, our people would still be rich, and we take them into the money economy. But very frustrating is how we have all jumped on the money issue. More explanation on the pillars.
Yeah, but thank you very much, and good morning, viewers. The issue for our beneficiary, the ordinary person on the street, pillars mean nothing to them. So the language they understand best is money. But what is the parish development model for the start? We are looking at it as a strategy of getting government and its services to the people of Uganda, where they come from. And instead of looking at pillars, if we break down the services that the government must deliver to the people to ensure that they can increase their incomes, household incomes, and the quality of life. So those services are security, which is number one. As a country, we are a peaceful country. But there are pockets of insecurity everywhere we come from. There is a theft of agricultural produce, there are burglaries, people steal your phones, forgeries, blah, blah, blah. Security is important, and government is delivering that service closest to the people. There is health services, which my brother has been talking about. There is education, because for us to enjoy the quality of life, a man like myself, so many years ago I was in the subsistence economy. What helped me and a few of like myself was education over the longer time. So education is important. Of course, the infrastructure I talked about. Environment is extremely important for us as a country. So the storage facilities at the local level, processing facilities, and then of course financial services. And in financial services, we are looking at more than the credit, the loans that people will be borrowing from their parish circle, to look at insurance, because as a farmer, if I grow my maize and the armyworm attacks it, I will lose. So agriculture insurance is important. Then savings. Much as we are looking at people who are not earning anything, at some stage, they will, for them to grow, they must start saving. Because if you don't save, you can't invest. So savings are going to be important. So financial services broadly are going to be a package that the government brings. So overall, these services are broken into 7 pillars, which probably people are calling the pillars today. But for an ordinary person on the street, government is delivering the services closest to them. For a long time, we decided as a country to deliver our services through a decentralized system. In 1992, we went decentralization. But for a long time, we have been, in decentralization, we have been delivering services up to the sub-county level. That is far from our beneficiaries. So government has now decided to deepen decentralization by taking those services I've talked about closest to the people. But if between me and you, if you go to the village and tell people that I want to create a factory here for you, very few people will line up to listen to you. But if you say I am bringing money to you, many of them will come. Yes. And I think our political leaders have used money as a marketing tool, as a sales tool, to get the attention of our people. But at the bottom of that, the message they are also pushing out there is that you must produce. Because you borrow money from your circle to invest in an agriculture enterprise. That is production. You must, of course, sell what you have produced. So that is the pillar 1 on agricultural value chain development. So if I was to look at the pillars of the parish model as a building like this, there are 2 holding pillars, the most important one, the strongest ones, that will hold this roof up. And those 2 pillars is pillar 1, which is value chain development, and pillar 3, which is financial service, financial inclusion, because the 2 move together. But the reason for that is that over the next 5 years, government is focusing on transforming over 3.5 million households that are stuck in the subsistence economy. That is our initial focus. And because it's the initial focus, they must produce, they must sell. So they must be therefore organized to produce in masses. They have therefore to be organized to market in masses. That's why we are bundling them into groups, running a common enterprise. And then once they have identified that common enterprise, then they are mobilized to start visualizing the future. This is what we are now calling the pillar on mindset change and community mobilization. They visualize the future. As a household, they can attend the household. Where do we want to be in the next 5 years? So they're visioning. Once we have agreed that in the next 5 years we want to be here, then the next stage, how do we get there?
Very interesting, Katende, and very sweet to listen to. Now this is where I bring in Dr. Constantine. One of the things here is, much as we are going to be, we have a secretariat, doctor. It is a macro-sectoral approach.
Exactly.
And I wonder how all these ministries, the stakeholders are going to come together and perfect the art of transforming at a formidable force. When you talk about infrastructure, you have works there coming at a parish level.
That's right.
You have, then you'll have the microfinance support center, all these through these circles. So I see so many that are required. More than where one would say it's just a parish development model secretariat which is going to do this, do that. How are we going to move at the same pace, or how are we going to expedite this process?
I think, moderator, you have brought out a very, very nice point, and I like the way you have brought it. It is the aspect of one of the challenges we have, not in this country, around everywhere, is how organized are you? So under this parish development model, there is a pillar, they are calling coordination and management and organizational structures. So this pillar number 7 is supposed to be looking at who is doing what. You have got a high-level committee that is chaired by His Excellency the President, which President is chairing all these top-level ministers, and this President, our President, is being informed by something he formulated what they are calling Parish Development Model Secretariat, which is located under Ministry of Local Government, because you will definitely agree that most of these interventions we are talking about, our biggest number of our people are in the local governments. So there is that high-level committee chaired by His Excellency the President that is overseeing the entire implementation of the parish development model, through or being informed by what they are calling the parish development model secretariat, which is located in the Ministry of Local Government. Then you have got these sector ministries. In fact, they are no longer called the sector, they are programs under NDP3. You have got the Ministry of Local Government, which is core. You have got the Ministry of Agriculture. You have got the Ministry of Trade and Industry. But you have all these entities that have got a role to play working together in a certain committee. Because these days, it is no longer, this is mine. You must sit on the table as one government, as one entity, because we have moved the entire government from the headquarters or from Kampala to a parish level. So all those aspects, there is a whole issue of coordinating it, people working as one, and that is, I like your question because that is the biggest challenge we have been having. How organized, how coordinated are we? And there's a very clear pillar number 7 that is helping to do the coordination. Right from the president up to the village, to the last person down in the enterprise groups that they are forming.
Now, Katende, at what stage are we right now? Because since February 26, when His Excellency launched, there's been so much talk. And with the rollout of the parish development model, it must be ordered. It must be organized. We have stages that we must say we've accomplished this stage, we're moving to this stage. What you call in terms of service delivery, I love using the word pillars per se, because it's kind of better explains, not to the lay person when you bring in such, it's better, more clear. But at a technical level, high discussion, like Doctor said, I love pillars. So let's understand at what stage are we right now of the rollout.
Okay. The implementation of the parish model has been phased. The first phase was establishment phase, which was the whole of last financial year, to establish the structures and systems and people that will be necessary to successfully implement the parish development model. Of course, we set up the National Policy Committee, which Dr. Constantine has talked about, headed by the President. We have set up the Parish Development Model Secretariat, where I also provide technical support under the Ministry of Local Government. We have set up at a national level working groups for each of the pillars, which then come together because it's one government. So if you talk about financial services, all the government ministries, departments, and agencies that deliver financial services come together into a working group. That has been established. Now we go to the district level, because you asked the question on coordination. Coordination is not just at the center. We are taking the whole government to the parish So how do we deliver that at the district level? At the district level, you have their normal technical planning committees. They continue to do their work. But they have established what they call a district coordination team. The district coordination team will bring the departments at the district that will quicken the delivery of these services, like the production department, commercial department, the community development, all of them working together. Then they have a core implementation team at the district, which expands from the technical people to also include some political leaders at the district and other experts. So those have been established. Now we come to the parish, where the real business will be held. The first thing we had to do was to fill all the positions of the parish chiefs. So we needed to have the people. So the parish chiefs, 100% are there. Then we had to activate the parish development committee, which is a committee at the parish level that will support the parish chief to oversee the implementation of the parish development model. That has been established. Then we had to ensure that we have institutions for wealth creation, formation of what we call the PDM circle, which is a special type of a multi-purpose cooperative that Ugandans at that level from subsistence households will belong to. That's where now all the economic services will be channeled through that. Financial services will go through that. If you need an extension officer, production will go through that. If you need to market your produce, it will be through that circle. If you want to be educated on how to run your business, on financial literacy, all that will be done through that PDM circle, a multi-purpose cooperative. Those have been established across the country. And now the first activity in activating those circles was to send some money into the bank account.
That is where now we had issues. Where people are talking about we expect 17 million.
Yes.
But some say we got 7 million.
Yes. Some got 7 million because towards the end of the financial year, a number of parishes were not ready. So it would be very silly of our government to send money to sit in bank accounts in villages. It is bad cash management to send money to the parishes when you know that these parishes do not have the circles, do not have the executive committees constituted. They have not been trained in loan management. So they can't lend to each other because they don't know how to handle it. They have no governance structures. So it would be stupid for us to send the money there. But government committed that whoever did not receive the 17 million last year will receive that 17 million this year, plus the 100 million for this financial year. So that is the commitment on behalf of government. So where we are now, as we speak, is that those circles are there, enterprise groups are there, but we still have challenges. That in the drive up to the formation of these circles, we rushed the process. So we are aware that there is elite capture. People like you and me joined these groups. We are aware that some people who are not members of the parish also joined. People who have been benefiting from other government programs also joined. So the next step where we are today is a verification exercise to ensure that we can weed out everybody who does not qualify to be a member of this circle.
Let me bring Dr. Constantine here. Doctor, when Katende explains here, I don't know who will remain poor in Uganda.
Exactly. Now,
if we've had effective implementation.
Yes.
Today is talking about these circles, these enterprises. But I don't know where they are.
Exactly.
Because many Ugandans you speak to, same with the little information. That's why I earlier told you that I get offended when I hear people talk and they don't have the information. So help us understand as a consultant.
Yes, now.
What is on the ground? Because Katende may be telling us what ought to be, but what is on the ground right now?
Now, one of the aspects, moderator, that as a country we and I think under the Persian model, there's that period called management information system. That issue about management information system, this information system is supposed to profile you and say this man's household, there are such a number of people there, this man works, this one doesn't work, this is what they are, they have got 10 goats, they don't have even a single chicken. That baseline study is so critical for all of us. And that is where we must get right. The other day I had the executive director of UBO saying that if government tries to run as quickly and they say they're implementing, yet they have not gotten the facts on the ground to know who is who and what does that model, because it is only data can enable us understand who benefits. So we must get that phase of the parish-based management information system right. And when our colleague Katende says that there was an rush, which is true, because everybody rushed there and said, I belong to this parish, I can also benefit. So they are using this management information system, this collection of data, collection of information on all of us as wherever we live, and then they will use that baseline to understand who qualifies. And they also understand that Mr. Katena has got 3 vehicles, has got 100 cows, all that they will know. Then they will know where to place him, because Katena also needs help.
But Dr. I'm also moved even before you get to that, which is very vital.
Yes.
Katenda has talked about steps that have already been put in place.
Yes.
Generalistically, I kind of disagree with him. When I go to communities, even many of these communities have traveled in the rural areas, in peri-urban, urban centers. You find confusion on the ground.
Yeah, the confusion is...
You find people, I'm wondering, how did the Katendis get the likes he's talking about to the level of now saying we are moving at this pace, you know? Even when he says we have identified these people, a random survey, you may go to a village and ask how many people whose information has been captured, you know? How have they been able, people, who are the people who are in these enterprises that we've talked about? Because they must be genuine. We feel that on ground, little has been done, as my colleague, as our colleague is saying.
Which one thing is, as he rightly said, you know, this is a new approach, the Gingatic approach, where all of us are learning, but the key thing is that we have all agreed that the communities, our masses, all of us must be to understand the process. The next level is, you are saying, in order to determine whoever falls under this category of the beneficiaries, we must do a very good baseline.
Yes.
Data must be good to be able to determine who has what. And one key thing is, when you are living wherever you live, whether you are in Kampala or wherever, and you are operating at the parish level and then at the village level, they will know who you are. You are not going to lie. So they are using this national identity card, our national ID, is what is going to be identifying us. Then they will come, capture, they say, this man is working in the Uganda Broadcasting Corporation. Every morning we see him. This is what approximately he
doesn't qualify.
He doesn't qualify, but he qualifies for other government programs. MO guy is there. You might also say, now, me, I'm doing this, but I want to get this. All those opportunities are there. It's not that this particular parliament model is for the 39% who are going to be carefully identified. And then also, when they identify them, they also identify that you also exist, and you also need some services, and you will be put according to the level that you fall. That's the one important thing, that the issue of data collection is key. Mr.
I'm very pleased the way you've expounded on that, because while I was wondering, I was even questioning who are the people that have already been identified. You know, for us, you do moving around, you do research, and randomly ask, okay, I'm told here you have a parish chief, I'm told that these are the things. So who are these people? And when Katende notes that, now it's, I think, would I call it verification or vetting?
Verification.
Verification. I think this is right, so that we do not have the wrong people benefit from the programs, like some of these other programs have been, that you have wrong people benefiting, you have relatives. Sometimes we tell local leaders identify, and they will look for son-in-law, daughter-in-law, and the targeted 39% then are left out.
Yeah, I wanted to come in on the issue of preparedness. The parish development model is a long-term commitment. It will not be done in 1 year. It will not be done in one parliament. It's a long-term commitment for all of us. So we must not expect miracles happening in just a space of 1 year. So the first year was just establishing. But even the establishment was littered with challenges. Some challenges were resource related, that money did not come to implement a number of these activities at the time when they were supposed to be implemented. For example, the data collection started at the tail end of the financial year. So it is ongoing as we speak. So out of the 8.97 million households that UBOS has surveyed in the past, we have so far got about 3.5 million. But we want to cover the entire country. So that exercise is currently ongoing. It also has challenges because some people think that for Constantine to be part of the data collection, he must be a poor person. No, we are collecting data on each and every household because we are delivering the numerous services. The financial services will be for the poorest of the poor. But in your village, you drive through a road, a community road. So we need to know how many people have cars, how many children do we have in this particular parish, so that as we plan for health services, as we plan for education services, we know our residents. So that process is taking its course, and it was going to be a continuous process. But with the verification and this data collection, the profiling of households, we should now be able to tell, let's say by around October, we should be able to tell who the actual subsistence households are, where they are, what economic activities they have, what assets, for example, do they have land? Because you may be saying send money for them to do farming when the guy has no land. If they have land, how much of it? Is it half an acre? Is it quarter an acre? Therefore, what enterprise can they select based on the availability of land? So that is currently what is happening. But people are expecting, when you announce the money, they expect everybody in Uganda to be knowing. They expect everyone in Uganda to be there. No, it's
some assuming it's coming and we are going to divide amongst ourselves.
Yes. In my own parish, I attended the parish meetings. And one of the local alcoholic was telling me for a long time he has always wanted to roof his house. So this is an opportunity for him to get 1 million at once. So he can go and buy the iron sheets and roof it. So there are people like that. But so education will also be needed. So that because this man can actually eventually roof his house if he does the right thing, i.e. get the money, invest it in an income generating activity, save money slowly. Within 6 months, you are able now to buy the iron sheets and finish your house. But you still have your income generating activity that can sustain you for years. So that education is also part of the community and mindset change program.
Now, Katenda, you've brought in a word where I want Dr. Constantine to expound. This, or I call it even a new term. You know, Uganda, every season we have a word that takes us like a storm. This is mindset change.
That's right.
Peter, mindset change. Now everything here, mindset change. We need a mindset change. Who is changing who? How are we rolling this out? This giant, this term, mindset change, parish movement, everything now you hear any politician jumping onto mindset change. Mindset change, expound on this in regards to rolling out of the parish development model.
Thank you, Mr.
Whose mind are we changing?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Moderator and our dear viewers. You know, mindset change is about a host of things. But the first and foremost, you as a human being, you as you, if you are talking about development, what is your status? Now, if I look at myself, the first question I'm asking myself is, do I know that I'm poor? That would be the first question to ask myself in my mind. And then the next question I'm asking myself, what opportunities are there for me to get out of the state that I am in terms of maybe of the poverty? You will understand most of us, most of our people, they are happy with wherever they are.
They're very complacent.
Well, you know, they say, for me, if I go to the other wedding and they have killed a cow, I eat some pieces of meat there, I would say I've eaten meat. But have your children eaten meat? Kids go to school, you are digging for people in the village. When I send my children to school and my child finishes university, you open up a small farm, and then the children of our neighbors go to dig on my son's farm. They are happy. Is it what we want? So we want to focus our population into an economy that everybody is able to survive at some minimum level. So in mindset change, there are quite many aspects we have talked about, and the government has said to speak about, that focuses all of us in the development. Focuses us into not only working for what we can eat, but also work for something you can have in our pockets, the money economy. So it's a big program, and it's going to be continuous, in my view. And I have seen the strategic plan for the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, which is championing mindset change in collaboration with the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance. I think we have a long way to go, and I'm happy the public service broadcaster has taken this issue by the horn. By now, it's starting inviting us, inviting everybody. So I'm quite happy with this arrangement, Mr. Moderator, that let us start working on the minds of our people.
If I can add, a mindset change will happen at two levels. It is happening at the transformational leader level, and then at the household level. Transformational leader, what do we mean? Remember, our ministers first, they have had to change their mindset. For the first time in the history of our country, this last financial year, in June, the entire cabinet was sent back to their constituencies. So cabinet prepared talking notes for each of them to read and understand. Up to that moment, each of them had their own understanding of the parish development model. So government of Uganda is also now working on its leaders to change their mindset about the parish development model, our target. Parliament went on recess, and members of parliament were asked to go back to their constituencies. Some went, some didn't. There is a lot of mindset that is needed at that level. When you come to the local levels, again, the leaders, the technical people and the political leaders. But now a lot of emphasis, I think, whenever they talk about mindset change, has been put on we the households, which I think is patronizing the wananchi. Both sides, the wananchi, the led and the leaders must have the right mindset, which is socio-economic transformation, a key pillar of the NRM government that introduced this parish development model to ensure that there is socio-economic transformation. And that is the mindset we are looking for. A business mindset at the local level, a mindset for me to move from A to B, knowing how I will get there. So it will cost us a lot of resources. It will take time. It cannot be done in one year. But it also builds on an important program under the National Development Plan. Among the 20 programs, there is an entire program called Mindset, Community Mobilization and Mindset Change Program. So we are in line with our development agenda. We are in line with our Vision 2040 when we talk about mindset. We can't talk about development the way we want as a country without, it starts here. Like one person on the TV said, it starts there.
Well explained. I'm just enjoying myself. Knowing that I believe the transformation we've been waiting for is now here through the parish development model. If we have the right people that are targeted here, the 39% to be moved in the money economy, everything seems well laid out properly. We all pray that the implementation will go smooth and, of course, give us the desired results. But let me have your concluding remarks from each of you gentlemen as we come to the end of this program.
I think, Mr. Moderator and dear viewers and listeners, for me, we need to identify the right people properly. Two, we need to sensitize our people. Right, as my colleague Katenda said, right from the politicians up to the common person, more so emphasis, because now the high-level people have been attached and given standard information to give. But our people there at the parish and below, that's where the business is. Most of the business is at the parish and below. So a lot of emphasis, a lot of sensitization, a lot of capacity building needs to be done there, but with the correct identification of the beneficiaries. We need to have a national-wide cleaned up database, management information for each of the parish. Okay. Thank you very much, and I want to emphasize, UBC, thank you. Try to start inviting all these people, all these pillars, to come and speak on how they are prepared to facilitate the implementation of the parish development model. Thank you very much.
Well, Katende, your final shot.
Yeah, thank you very much. My final shot is to appeal to all Ugandans that the parish development model is not just for government. It is delivering these services by state and non-state actors. Each of us has a parish you come from. You need to go back and see what is happening and play your role. I've already gone back to my parish in Kagerekam in Sekanyonyi, where I have my small farm. And each of us must go back to our parishes and play our part to support socio-economic transformation at a parish level. If we do that at a national level, we will be super. Thank you very much.
Well, I want to thank you so much, gentlemen. Dr. Constantine Bitwaiki, who is an international consultant on development, but also an advisor to Uganda Broadcasting Corporation and a specialist on parish development model. Thank you for your time. Also, that is Katende, thank you so much for your time. And of course, our viewers, thank you for being with us. Well, my only appeal is let's all interest ourselves in knowing what the parish development model is about, having the right information. I want to thank Uganda Broadcasting Corporation because it made it a mandate to ensure that all our staff, all of us, are well equipped with the parish development model. Once again, I end by saying, many government programs have hit a rock or not delivered as expected because of misinformation. He who hasn't researched has no right to speak. Have a lovely day.